Hi, Aquarius. Alright, I wanted to show you the cards, but I feel like we gotta kind of have face-to-face conversation. Even though I've been feeling like I want to hide a little bit. But, you know, we gotta do things that we don't feel like doing sometimes, right? So, Aquarius, what do I want to mention first? Oh, just in case you know, so you can know, I recorded a bunch of extra readings during this time frame, and maybe it said Jupiter energy, but either way, they're a little bit of extended readings, kind of like what's going on deeper below the surface. I know we don't keep it surface here, but it's like an extra layer. So if you, and those will be over on Patreon, so if you're already part of that space, those will be available. They'll be up either today, sometime today through the weekend. And if you want access, you can have access to all of them if you join the Timeless Traveler. Just a little FYI. So, especially yours, like, so I already recorded your reading, and it like disappeared, and then I had to do it again, and it was like really late at night, and it was pretty emotional. I feel like some of you were in a place where you realize there's like a big change coming, and you actually have this total eclipse card, which on the other side is focus is needed. So what you're focusing on is going to be, remember, what we focus on is what we find. Okay, if we I heard believe in ourselves, then that will be reinforced. If we think that we can't and things suck, then that will be it. If we, wherever we look. Now, when this total eclipse card came out too, what I kind of saw was like, it was like, don't give up, you know, because there's obviously something that's like coming to accumulation, if you will, or has recently. This eclipse season is also strong. Those of you who don't know, it just started the beginning, say, of like in April, and it will be going through until October. So there's this time frame to be aware of that's like sensitive to an extent. So you want to also, you know, redefining the self is hard. It is. You know, who we used to be and who we really are now, and where we cling to the past and subconsciously or consciously define ourselves in the same kind of way. Like, I see this no longer suiting. It's like something can't be denied, where there's a change, and you want to, maybe right now would be a good time for you to think about with yourself. I also see communicate. And I saw someone talking to a therapist, or like talking to someone one-on-one in a private way about what's going on, and asking some advice and being open-hearted to what that is. Maybe that's you here. I don't know. I feel like it's there's additional trying as well. This will just ensure that I feel like someone isn't deflecting from the reality of like all that is and all that it's going to be. Okay. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't get to keep who you were to an extent. Oh, I see. One of the exercises you can do with yourself, I guess, is, you know, I am is a very powerful statement. You know, I forget who asked God in the Bible, but it's just like, they're like, who are you? And he's like, I am, period. You know, but we fill in this sentence all the time, and it doesn't mean that one isn't allowed to touch in. I feel like I need to check if we're recording still. We're good. It's kind of an important conversation. You know, it's like who you are in this life is a big deal. How you define that, again. And I see that it's important not to don't try to identify. Like, for me personally, I'm not a big, like, I had an old friend that was always like, that's my identity. And I would always be like, whoa, bro, like, that's not my deal. Like, I don't dig that so much. I find it very restrictive, to be like, I identify as this, like, I'm a victim, or I'm a survivor, or like, I'm an abuser, or I'm whatever, gay, straight, it doesn't matter. It's like these little, why are we defining ourselves like that? It's like, what if it's like, I am changing, I am trying to figure this out, I am scared about this new step, like, I am feeling vulnerable, I am wanting to create in this space, like, keep it more open, you know? So, let's open up your cards. Okay, we have Magician. So, the mental space, really important. This also is showing me Saturn, Taurus, Scorpio. Alright. This could also be very helpful for someone if you've been studying your chart, or maybe you want to have someone else read your chart right now. There's some kind of information that's important to pay attention to. If you want an extra, like, more advanced exercise, I see, how does Saturn aspect Mercury? Will give you some indication. Or how does Saturn aspect Gemini, Virgo energy? Okay, then we have baby. B-A-B-B-Y. 23, or 24, 23, so we're going in order. And then we have the star. Here's your card, Dolly Parton. Working 9 to 5. Make a living. She's kind of pushing that feminist movement, though, right? Trying to get the mother to work and the father to work and everybody working. It's like, who has the kids then? The government? Give me a break. What? So, if any of you have a child, they are a very special child. They're a child of God. You're a child of God. Did you know that? You're a miracle that you're born. I heard that you didn't die in your mother's womb. That you didn't die when you did that dumb thing when you were a kid. That you didn't die when you did that dumb thing when you were a teenager. That you didn't die when you did that dumb thing in your 20s. Okay? Okay? Oh, I see. If any of you have children, and I actually love to do this. It's interesting this is coming up, but this could be anybody. You can choose anyone. But I feel like if you have a child, it actually could be very helpful, especially as a parent. This could also be a grandparent, what have you, is like to have a child's chart read. Because obviously the child can't understand what astrologically is going on with them per se. But an adult can understand via a child's chart to be like, oh, okay, their natural inclination is this, and their strengths are that, and soul lessons of them are this. Of course, this could be you. And then I heard child repression. Regression, progression. Okay, also, can we go back for a second? When you were a little kid, did you know how you were a really magical kid. Did you know that? And actually, this is almost like a mother and a father with the child in the middle. Here's a male, here's a female. That's how you make a baby. Right? It's a basic equation. It's like this plus that equals this. That's the equation. So if you have a child, let's talk about this, because I feel like we're mostly adults here. What are we talking about? I heard it again. Working 9 to 5. What's 9 to 5? What are we talking about? Oh, that's a child of God again. Do you believe that your life here is a miracle. Do you believe that in your heart, in your soul? Do you believe that? You know, Sag mentioned this too. It's like, why do you think that you were born? You know, people talk about that, like, what's my purpose? I want to find my purpose. I want to. It's like, remember that part of your purpose. What do I see? Well, is to open up and be sweet. Um, to love your mother and father, to the family that you do create, the life that you do create once a child leaves its parents' home, right, is to make your own life. And I suppose to be happy in that, right? Like, no matter what happened to you as a child, it's finding, or whatever happened to you in the past. I'm seeing that game. Remember that game, Shoots and Ladders? It's like, roll the dice. Okay, bap, 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 bap. Oh, there's a ladder. Do, 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 do. You get to the next level, and it's like, all right, and then it goes around. You gotta wait a while, and then you roll the dice again, and you're like, all right, da, da, da. And then it's like, oh, you know, oh, you ended up on the chute. You ended up on the slide. But you know what? All kids love a slide. But adults get so tripped up about that, right? We're always like, I want to climb higher. I want to get to this next, da-da-da. And it's just like, and then we get down on ourselves when we don't supposedly, like, succeed or do what we want to do. But again, I suppose that's the roll of the dice when it comes to life. So remember also, I suppose, that in this time that, because total eclipse is also sun and moon, and I feel like this is sun and moon, and then we have baby in between here. So maybe somebody needs to grow up. You know, they're not like, unless we're really talking about somebody's actual child here, we're talking about the adults in the situation being adults, and no one being like, acting like a kid. You know what I mean? Time, because it's Saturn, right? It's like, now if you are a husband, what kind of husband are you? If you're not a husband yet and you want a partner, what kind of husband do you plan on being? If you're a woman, what kind of wife are you? If you're not a wife yet, what I heard, this is for both sides. It's like, what do you need to do, change in yourself to be what you like, to what do you need to change in yourself to have what you want? And what kind of positivity is around that, you know? Because you got to love yourself. And I heard, remember, everybody's got daddy issues. Okay? Everybody's got daddy issues. Yeah. Everybody's got issues, well, I guess I heard, with men and women in life, in the deepest cut. Yeah, but you know what the thing is? What am I seeing? Well, I see the word begin. It's like, well, I heard we got to be grateful for what we have. And what we can create, because if we're looking at this in a wider context, this is masculine energy, feminine energy, and then the baby in between, which means that we take both sides of us, our feeling and our action, our feeling and our will, if you will, and we combine those together and we actually create something. We create something. And how long averagely does a baby live? What do we live now? Anywhere between 50 and 80 years. Pretty cool. That's a long time. You can do a lot then, in that time frame. But I suppose this could be, for some of you, this could be like a really new thing, right? That's being created. So in that sense, remember that a baby needs, whatever you're creating with, it needs attention, it needs love, it needs patience, right? A baby, as a metaphor, everything is new to that baby, right? Everything is new. So, whatever that situation is, I heard it doesn't matter about your upbringing. It doesn't matter. The past doesn't really matter. And so someone's like, "You sure?" And it's like, yeah, well, I heard you decide what, um, well, what you want to matter. I mean, the past. Let's say the past could matter, but I suppose it's like whether that's creating a place of like confidence and awareness. Like, okay, in the past, I have, you know, it reminds me of David and Goliath. You know, like when David beat Goliath, excuse me, he was just a child. And his intention wasn't to like destroy the Philistine army. He was just like, I'm just going to go check on my brothers and give them some snacks because they're fighting this war. And went down there, and all his, his family, most of his family there was just like, you're not strong enough, you're not big enough, da 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 da, breaking him down. And he's just like, wait, but I've been tending to the sheep, and I've killed lions and bears in the past. Come on, sweetheart. Good girl. So maybe part of where the past matters is you want to focus on that which you have endured, that which you have succeeded in, right? You're like, well, I've done this before. I heard I can do this now. Saturn, here's double Saturn. So some of you are dealing with something that's in the tangible world that's very important, that has to do with responsibility, patience, and I suppose as this air energy is connected to Saturn, what is this saying? It's like, remember sometimes one of the threads of Aquarius as a general rule of thumb is you have Saturn, which is cold and restrictive and fear and limitations as a negative. And then you rule the mind. So sometimes Aquarius can have a very natural, morose mind. Like, meaning it has a hard time getting out of a negative thought. Once it gets into it, it's like it'll just keep like pounding the sand. So you have to Dolly Parton, you gotta Dolly Parton it up. You gotta Dolly Parton it up. Yes, meditation. Maybe that will be, I see candles here, so maybe that's something also to, make a wish for now. Some people say, oh, just wait until your birthday. It's like, well, make a wish now. And also, what wishes have come true? Maybe something that you didn't believe you could do, and then it happened, whether you wished for it or not. And again, with the past not mattering, quote unquote, it's like, I guess what I saw more was like that which, because again, everybody's got mommy issues, daddy issues, family issues, friend issues, ex-partner issues, landlord issues, boss and coworker issues. This is always drama in this world. This world is full of drama. So I heard, don't fuel it anymore yourself by not being all that you can be. You know what I mean? And I would also say, let's see, if we go back into this again, as this is because this is a true creation process. It's like the Trinity, right? It's the Mother, the Father, and the Child. This is the Trinity. So maybe this is also early 20s and then like mid 30s is a time frame to look at. I also see 47. I see the age of like 5 or 6, and then maybe 9. I also see 15, 16. I know those are a lot. You could probably have to pause and sit on those. And I suggest that you do, because it may help you to understand where you are now. I would also say, no matter what's going on, whether this is a creative project or life in general, although I see this kind of, what did you learn from your mom? What did you learn from, who were some significant men in your life when you were growing up? You could write what frustrates you, sure, but I also see, please find also the positive to, and see where you go. Do you go to the positive first? Do you go to the difficult thing first? This could help you realize more about your mind, okay? But who are the significant men in your life? Who are the significant women in your life, females and males in your life when you were growing up? And if you don't know, because babies don't remember, usually a child's first memory is trauma. That's how we become conscious in this world, because this world, however beautiful and miraculous, it's not heaven, it's not perfect. So the point is maybe you also want to talk to your mom and your dad and be like, what was I like when I was a baby? Or who took care of me when I was a baby, right? Like, I'll share an example, because this happened to me recently, that's why I'm inspired by it. My mom told me only recently that my grandmother on my father's side actually took care of me for months on end while my mother worked when I was an infant. And I didn't know that. And as an adult, I really didn't spend that much time with her. But when I found that out, I was like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. Like, I got to have this really deep, intimate connection with her before I could even remember. And it helped me to connect to that. It helped me to be grateful. And some of the love that I felt like maybe was lacking in my life, because we all have that in some way or another. I was just like, well, I know she loved me fully, because she was awesome. She was so awesome. And yeah. So maybe something like that. And I would say, if some of you say you are, like, if you're in a relationship right now and you have a child and you're having a hard time about something, I say, please don't give up on something right now. You want to hold up a minute there before, and I see maybe that was that, to me, Aquarius, especially if you have a family, and especially when there's children, therapy is really helpful, because you connect to Virgo and Cancer, which is some kind of advice and analyzation having to do with feelings and family. It's just important to talk about and not just keep it all in your head, because it will interfere with your heart space, your creative space, your happiness. Now, if you have already said goodbye, like say you're divorced whenever this was and you had children, it's like, well, I heard, make sure that no one's talking badly about like the other parent, especially to the child. It's really disruptive. And maybe this happened to you, I don't know, but something like this. And I heard sometimes all you need is a little bit of sugar to make something sweeter. A little bit of encouragement, right? Like, for instance, this Dolly card, like as a wife card, she's like happy, like this Saturn man is like, I've been working all day, and then they come home and Dolly's just like, hey, like, come here, like, nice to see ya, how's your day? Like, she's just happy, that'll help, because everyone's got stress. Put some sugar on it. What's interesting is your other reading, man, I wanted to put some sugar on it, but I just couldn't. It was hard on that day. So just be aware of that too, because you don't have to fake happiness. Authenticity is not about being happy all the time. It's about being real with how you feel. But also not letting your circumstance dictate how you feel. Do you know what I mean? All right. I hope this was helpful. I love you, Aquarius. Please take care. Peace out. Bum, bum, bum.